And we're back, and turning to our national spotlight, the election is just 1 week away, and things could not be tighter, with career politician Jane Beltway and convicted felon Spencer Blackheart running neck and neck. We turn now to our senior political analyst, Corey Spondent. Corey, thank you so much for joining us today. Glad to be here, John. Now, Corey, a lot of people thought that Mr. Blackheart would see his poll numbers shrink after he was found guilty on all of the human trafficking charges, but they seem to have actually gone up. What are we to make of this? Well, frankly, Matt, Mr. Blackheart's supporters are not bothered by this. He has always branded himself as a man of great conviction. And now as those convictions increase, so too does his appeal. So his personal crimes don't dissuade his supporters. Not at all, Greg. In fact, the convictions strengthen their resolve. His supporters feel that him having to answer for his crimes would be a great injustice, and they are willing to do whatever necessary to make sure he goes to the White House and avoids having to face any consequences for his actions. Doesn't that fly in the face of the law and order campaign that Mr. Blackheart has championed? He's pledged to be tough on crime. Oh no, Alan, that's really just for black people. You see, law and order is a catchy slogan, but it's mostly just about order. Poor people and minorities are expected to serve long prison sentences for smoking marijuana or spend time in jail and lose their employment for being unable to pay a traffic ticket. But white men with massive amounts of inherited wealth are really supposed to be able to just kind of do whatever. That's the American order that this campaign is working so hard to preserve. Makes sense. Now, Corey, what about Mr. Blackheart's opponent, Jane Beltway? She seems to have really seen her momentum stall. Very much so. The lack of criminality has really hurt her. People look at Spencer Blackheart and they feel they know who he is. He's very authentic. But with Senator Beltway, people feel they just don't know her, and that means they don't trust her. So you're saying that they trust Mr. Blackheart more because they feel they know him? That's right. Even though they know him to be a liar and a criminal. Absolutely, Patrick. They just want him to feel authentic. They're less concerned in what he's authentic about. You see, with Senator Beltway, she may say that she wants to put the country first and protect the people, but voters aren't certain about how she'd go about it. Mr. Blackheart, on the other hand, promises to rule with viciousness and put himself first at the expense of the American people, and the voters know he'll do that. Frankly, it's refreshing. I see. Let's bring in our Street Beat correspondent, Teleprompter, who's been on the ground in swing states. Now, Telly, is what Corey's describing in line with what you're hearing from voters? Oh yes, very much, Hubert. Just listen to a few of the voters that I talked with earlier this morning. Well, I like him. He's a straight shooter, you know? He tells it like it is.
Well, he says he's gonna abuse the office, and I believe him. You know, I trust him. That when he says he's gonna, hurt a lot of innocent people, he'll keep his promises.
Senator Beltway seems so packaged. He's got all his baggage. I feel like Blackheart's really got the energy to get things done. What kind of things? I don't know. Cutting people, whatever. Wow, it sounds like Mr. Blackheart's criminality is really resonating. Corey, do you think that there's anything that Senator Beltway can do to close in on some of Mr. Blackheart's advantage on this issue? Well, Brian, she'll really need to change her message. Thus far, she's largely tried to appeal to people's better natures, and that's a huge mistake, because Americans don't really have those. She should try to knock over a liquor store, go out of her way to threaten some minorities. And do you think that would work? Well, probably not, Michael. You see, Senator Beltway is a woman, and also a minority, and those are the sorts of people that voters feel should be punished for crimes. Also for innocence. I see. Telly, bring me back to you for a moment. Aside from his pledge to abuse power, what are other reasons that voters are telling you that they support Mr. Blackheart? Well, Peter, what comes up over and over with everyone that I talk to is the economy. Not surprising, the economy is a big issue in every election. Yes, the general feeling that voters have is that the economy was stronger when Mr. Blackheart's party was last in power, and that is really driving people towards him. But just to interject for a moment here, wasn't the economy left in shambles when Mr. Blackheart's party last left power, after gross mismanagement and hundreds of thousands of dead? Yes, they're more nostalgic for the economy that we had when Mr. Blackheart's party last assumed power. They're hoping that if we return them to power, they'll get that economy, not the economy that we had after he'd actually had an effect on it. Makes sense to me. Are there any other issues that people are telling you are top of mind? Oh yes, rampant fear. Of what? Of whatever. They're afraid of each other, people who don't look like them. They're afraid that immigrants are going to come to their communities and eat their pets for some strange reason. Interesting. Corey, why do you think people are feeling so frightened? Well, Gertrude, it's a complicated issue to discuss, but I did attend one Spencer Blackheart rally, and I did notice some possible influences.
And I am pledging tonight that as president, I will personally attack your community. No longer will our American capacity for violence be outsourced. I will bring that violence and destruction home and launch devastation the likes of which you've never seen. Furthermore, I will go into your houses at night and wreck up the place, and I will personally set fire to your city!
Was that cheering from the crowd? Oh yes, people love that. Because from that clip, it really seems like the people should be afraid of Spencer Blackheart. You'd think, but most Americans seem to be embracing that feeling of fear, but not attributing any blame to Mr. Blackheart. Do they not remember that he was the one just threatening them? Oh, they remember. But they actually seem to believe it makes him the most qualified to protect them. Really? Well, when you think about it, who would know the threats better than the man who has experience in attacking Americans? Just a moment. I have breaking news. Presidential candidate Spencer Blackheart has been caught on camera assaulting a child. Reports say that it happened just as he was leaving his rally. Witnesses report the child asked for an autograph. Yes, I'm getting the same thing here, Morty. Apparently, the child asked in Spanish, and so it was taken as a threat. Olivia, I'm here at the Blackheart rally, site of the violence, and people are loving it. I've just talked to several voters, and they say they are more excited to support him than ever. I feel like he's really got the strength that you need in a leader. I mean, I would never be able to do something that horrible myself, but I want my president to do it for sure. Well, I'm a proud American, and for me, being American means finding somebody weaker than you and dealing out some truly malicious abuse. I get that it's maybe not politically correct, but I am so sick of the woke mob lecturing me and my family about the evils of child abuse. So I like that he'll, really stick it to them. Take that, liberals. And also, take that small child, I guess, whatever. Well, this might be just the sort of October surprise the media has been on the lookout for. And in the instant poll that we've somehow already conducted, it looks like Mr. Blackheart has jumped up 2 points in the wake of this news. Enough to be a clincher in a tight election like this one. So, this is what Americans are actually like, huh? Oh, yeah, we're really
Friend of mine, I thought you'd come.